It was more around the colour of his skin and this persecution around how if he had a car that was this and another player had a car that was this that was white, there was a difference in reporting of it. Do you think that is happening again in front of our eyes here?
You know something, I remember saying, I had to do something for GQ not long ago, and I said, I don't think as Englishmen, there's certain Englishmen, I'm an Englishman, I can't hide from that. Even though when I was younger, people would say, yeah, but you're not really English, are you? Yeah, I'm English. I don't think they're ready for a black superstar like that who can move like Jude's moving. You know, they can't touch him, like I just said. He goes out there, he performs, he does what he does. He says, who else? It's too uppity for these people. Something that they used to say back in the day. If you're a black guy or a black man who's, you know what, I put it in a football term. So everybody, they love N'Golo Kante. He's a humble black man, gets on with what he's doing. I'm not saying that he's an Uncle Tom or anything.
Oh, here we go again. Always trying to push a certain kind of agenda. Gary Neville seems to be doubling down on what he said a few weeks back about the current state of Britain and all of this nonsense. And Ian Wright he just takes the opportunity. Oh, he's salivating at being able to take this opportunity to get on his high horse about racial equality and all of this. So be prepared. We're getting a little bit of a lecture from a group of multi-millionaire footballers. But anyway, if you like this clip, please like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if there's something on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the comments. Big D reads all of the comments and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Here they are.
Right, I want to draw towards on Instagram the other day, and obviously there's a lot of hoo-ha around Bellingham, and I think you're absolutely right. There's a comment that you made off the back of a story that was brewing around Jude Bellingham being unhappy. You said they need to create this kind of beef because there's nothing else to talk about till the World Cup, so it's going to be all the way to the World Cup. They hate that they can't get to him. They hate that they can't negatively influence his club career like they have done with so many before him. A blessed young man with talent and love in abundance. When you said they hate that they can't get to him, what do you mean?
They can't. Well, look, his parents have kept him away from the Premier League. You know what I mean? He doesn't play in the Premier League. It kept him away from the journalists. They can't get to him through, like I said in there, through his club, like through Robert, so they can try and like taint the way Real Madrid's thinking and say, yeah, we're going to keep him in line and that. They cannot get to this guy, and this is somebody who is very much an achiever. He goes out, he's a winner, he wants to do it, he wins. What they said about Jude not celebrating that, it was complete fabrication, a lie. So what they're trying to build something because England have qualified so easy. They've not conceded any goals. They've won all the games easy. So they need to have something else to pile on top of the narrative. You know, you've got a manager who's very, very honest in everything he said. We spoke to him, Roy. He's really candid in how he speaks, you know, and he said that. We asked him a question. I said, are you worried about, or have any regrets about your honesty and giving so much detail? He said, no, because I say the same thing in there. So they know that. Them journalists will know that, and they will try to ask him something that he will answer that they can run with again. And I'm worried for Jude simply because he's somebody that they can't control. You can't control him. Obviously, coming off of the who else and what he done in the World Cup, he's showing people that, you know, I'm here, I'm black, I'm proud, I'm ready to go. All that vibe is something that a certain man can't deal with.
I agree with you. A personal experience, and I've spoken about this in 2016, that Raheem Sterling came to see me in the tournament and said that he felt as though he was being persecuted, that it was unfair and it was basically not relating to football. And I remember at the time me giving him a completely and utterly inadequate answer, and I've spoken about this publicly since, where I said, look, Raheem, it's because of your quality and who you are and what you are that they're criticising you. I remember they did this with Wayne Rooney. I actually name-checked him. They did this with David Beckham. They did this with Paul Gascoigne. The best players, the biggest names. But actually what I didn't read at the time, and to be fair, what he was actually crying out and asking me for help for, was around the fact that this wasn't relating to his football performances, which it was with maybe yourself or with Gazza or with Bex. Yeah. It was more around the colour of his skin and this persecution around how if he had a car that was this and another player had a car that was this that was white, there was a difference in reporting of it. Do you think that is happening again in front of our eyes here?
You know something, I remember saying, I had to do something for GQ not long ago, and I said, I don't think as Englishmen, there's certain Englishmen, I'm an Englishman, I can't hide from that. Even though when I was younger, people would say, yeah, but you're not really English, are you? Yeah, I'm English. I don't think they're ready for a black superstar like that who can move like Jude's moving. You know, they can't touch him, like I just said. He goes out there, he performs, he does what he does. He says, who else? It's too uppity for these people. Something that they used to say back in the day. If you're a black guy or a black man who's, you know what, I put it in a football term. So everybody, they love N'Golo Kante. He's a humble black man, gets on with what he's doing. I'm not saying that he's an Uncle Tom or anything, just saying that's how his personality is. But if you get a Pogba or a Bellingham and you get that kind of energy, that does not sit well with the people, that kind of person. So someone like Jude, for some reason, frightens these people because of his capability and the inspiration he can give. It's something that you're taught when you're, as a black man, when you're going out there, you just want to try and do the best you can and keep your head down and be, for want of a better, humble fucking slave. This is where this is dragging up from that kind of energy. Because if you are outspoken black and doing that kind of, playing to that kind of level and not caring, that frightens certain people. And that's what's going to happen with Jude. This guy who I'm telling you about in respects of, he's obsessed with him. He's moving off of that energy. He can't look and see a black man doing what Jude's doing and think that that's not uppity. He's not an uppity. That's where I'm going with that. That's where that comes down to.
I mean, that's some speech, that, Wrighty. And I think it just definitely is something. So I remember with Raheem coming to see me, placing it back into, I was thinking, right, I've got to pick him up because he was low.
It's very hard.
He was really low. He was down on, for him to come.
Because you don't know where to go. There's nowhere to go.
And he had nowhere to go. So he comes and sees me, and I've not got the ability, the probably education or the understanding to be able to give him the answers and the understanding that he was coming to me with. And I remember at the time, and it only actually, I remember seeing, it was something on X a year later where it showed an article, the articles on Raheem, where he had a car, house, jewellery, a watch, and articles about a white player and what the headlines were and the difference. And you could see this complete and utter bias that just right in front of you thought, oh, now I get what he means. I only saw it a year or so later. But that's something that I can see at the moment. It is happening with Jude Bellingham.
You know what, again, it's a tiring thing. It's a tiring exercise to talk about. And as soon as I sent a message to Jude, right, saying, listen, my friend, be ready. You know, I feel something you can feel. It's like
when was this, Wrighty?
Before the England game.
This just now?
Yeah, before the England game. And I just said, just be ready.
Well, it's good that you can help him, right?
Well, the thing is, you know what the thing is, though, and I'd say, and maybe, you know, of course it's private, but he said, ready for what? And I said, listen, it's coming and I'm here. I'm going to be here. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be on this side. So, because what happens is that it just comes and it just keeps coming. It's like a tsunami. And unless you play well and do something to kind of, and that just shifts it for a little while, because as soon as you play again and you don't play well, it comes back. And so he said, what's coming? I said, just be ready for it. And it's here.
It's how Jude Bellingham is definitely England's biggest star. He's playing for Real Madrid. He's the biggest talent. So naturally, I think journalists are going to ask about the fact that Thomas Tuchel is leaving him out of the team. That's natural, I think, because he's such an... It's that balance, isn't it? And that fine balance of being able to make sure that you can ask the questions about the football where it doesn't become a persecution. That's what I think you're talking about, isn't it?
Without doubt. You know the thing as well, I don't think Jude's got any problem with Morgan Rogers being the number 10. He's got to dislodge him, because Jude will believe he can dislodge him. And you'd like to think that Morgan Rogers would say, well, I'm going to try and make sure you don't dislodge me. I know how good you are. That's what England needs. That's how England end up winning the World Cup, is that great players have to wait their turn, and when they come in,
competition within.
Thank you, Roy. So Jude ain't got no problem with that, but it's all the fluff around it to try and build more onto that. And then anything happens, like they say he threw his arms up when he got substituted, and Tuchel said, well, I didn't see that. You know, I didn't see that. I'll have to look at that. He didn't say that. Yes, he did celebrate with the guys. So that's those little foolishness thing, those foolishness kind of actions that they're trying to take is what kind of just slowly builds, like what Jamie said. Seems like a nice guy, but people, like you say, Roy, you read about it, you listen to what you're reading, and you think, yeah, he looks like that. Look at him. Who's not vexed if you get taken off? Who isn't?
But you know when you're saying right there what Tuchel said at the end of the game, so that you see the clip on social media, you think, oh, Tuchel's maybe having a little pop at Bellingham.
Yeah.
But he's getting asked the question. He's getting pushed into that direction. He's got no idea. He didn't really know, did he? As soon as the question's asked, we'll have to have a look at that. And then, but, we want players to be together. And before you know it, it becomes something, doesn't it? But from Tuchel's point of view, I actually think he's handled it pretty well. In that, I think if you go back to the last tournament, it did feel like it was Bellingham. It was just like all about Bellingham, and he was scoring the goals. And it was like, if Bellingham's not playing, England can't do nothing. And it probably takes me back to sort of Stevie at Liverpool. And I always remember something Ferguson said about Brian Robson when he first come to United, where sometimes you have this figure, and everyone feels if they're not playing, you can't win. It's almost like, oh my God, they're not playing. And I think what Thomas Tuchel's done in the last, I think it's in a good way. It's that like, we know he's a great player. We want him to fight for his position like everybody else. He'll be in the team. He'll be in that position when the World Cup starts. I have no doubt about that. But there's also probably this fear in the team as well that if Jude is injured or the manager decides to leave him, we can still win a game. Yeah. We can still play. We can still have a decent tournament. So I actually think it's been really good for Jude and really good for Thomas Tuchel and the squad. What's happened over the last couple of months in terms of the selection and who's playing. No one's got a 100% starter. There's other players come in and done well. So I think Tuchel's handled it really well in terms of the selection and sending a message to the rest of the squad.
So if you get Kane, Rice, Bellingham, Henderson's there as well, Stones. That looks like a really good like leadership group. That's got to be together, surely. If you're going to try and
win
about
anything. Jude saying, obviously, you're obviously it's nice to speak to you and get some advice, but you hope there's other lads in the squad helping, because you forget how young he is. So you hope there's Kane and these other lads are having these chats. That's where the senior players are so important. If they do see a player who thinks people are after him for the wrong reasons, not a footballer, then hopefully he's getting that help from players within the squad. Surely.
Yeah.
You'd like senior players,
so,
be, right?
When he
maybe
replies,
that's why Henderson's coming. Maybe that's why as well.
When he replies, ready for what? He obviously means he can't see what's coming.
Yeah, because like he obviously can't. Because why would he?
Would you think it's impacting him right now in respect of the level of sort of the tension that he's getting and the sort of scrutiny and the stuff that you're talking about?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's another. I think that Jude's the kind of person that will use that as fuel.
Yeah. But he has to.
That's what he's done. He'll use it as fuel, because even the other day he got married.
That was his frustration of coming off, wasn't it? His frustration was being left out of the previous squad, and then he starts this game and he hasn't scored, and that was his frustration.
He got the player of the match for the game. Should have scored in the game. He'd admit that himself. But I think they're trying to portray somebody who's not the person they want him to be in respects of the flash, arrogant. I'm going to cause problems in the cat. He's not that guy, but he's somebody that is not afraid to say how he feels. He's not afraid to do the who else. That really rankled a lot of people. And what for?
Do you know what the great players do? They do deal with that stuff, don't they? There'll always be that in football and sport. People go after people for the wrong reasons, almost mafia feel with some of the media. They'll chase a certain player, but the top people, and you've experienced it, right? You just push that to the side.
Absolutely.
It's like I'll focus on the game.
It's like Beckham, bro.
Becks, they can deal with all that. That's what makes them brilliant players.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you received scrutiny for obviously with England for different reasons than potentially we've just discussed there with Wright on Jude Bellingham. But did it ever get to you the sort of, because you're the person around this table that probably received the most scrutiny when you played with England at times?
Yeah, it gets of course, and obviously a lot of mine was again because I was controversial and with things I've done probably more off the pitch than on the pitch, and I've spoke about it. It was almost like you were getting bullied, and there's not much you can do about it. So I get what Wrighty was talking about there. That's why I stayed quiet on it, really. But I get it.
Wayne,
I understand it, but not from a racial point of view. So I can't really comment on that bit. But in terms of, I felt like you.
But did it affect you on the pitch? Wayne?
Not on the pitch. Exactly. On the pitch is where I just felt
at ease.
Felt safe, yeah.
What about on a daily basis, just every day when you wake up, you're ready to go and there's something else?
Yeah, no.
Something else.
It's horrible, and you think more about your family than you do yourself. And your parents and your family back home, that's what you think more about.
So you were glad at the games? You were glad when the games...
So when the game today, that was the easy part. The games was the easy part, but dealing with it and, a constant judgment, basically, that was tough, yeah.
Do you know what? It absolutely grinds my gears when I get lectured by someone who's a multi-millionaire, haven't got their finger on the pulse, don't know what they're talking about, and Well, they're just too eager to stand on a soapbox. Gary Neville, Gary Neville, he just doesn't understand what's going on in the working class realm at the moment, and he's just desperate to sort of push the agenda that there's institutional racism and all this nonsense. And Ian Wright is determined to make every footballer who just happens to be black, he's determined to convince them that they are victims. It was really interesting, actually, with what he said there, that he texted Jude Bellingham and he's saying, be prepared. And Jude Bellingham's probably sitting there thinking, well, he said, for what? And he's probably there thinking, what's he on about? Do you know what I mean? If you take a step back and you watch that clip, right, there's two footballers there very specifically who got criticised a lot, right? They even talk about third, who they know really well. So there's Rooney, there's Keane, David Beckham gets mentioned as well. Obviously, Jude Bellingham's getting mentioned. Paul Gascoigne, people forget. George Best, people forget. Every single one of those players were the best player in their particular era, in their particular field and whatnot, right? They all got scrutinised. They all got criticised. They all got flack from the press, right? Now, like most left-wing people, they are always half right. But the reasons why something is happening is usually not because of the reasons that they give, right? So Ian Wright's talking about Jude Bellingham getting a lot of criticism, and Ian Wright's pulling out of his backside, or the world's not prepared for a black superstar. Or really, does Michael Jordan not exist? Do you know what I mean? Usain Bolt, does he not exist? Do you know what I mean? Mike Tyson, Anthony Joshua, do they not exist? Right? Nonsense. Frank Bruno was universally loved. Like, he was fantastic. Everyone was rooting for him, you know? David Hay, everyone got behind him. All the boxers. But he's saying it's because of race. It's not because of race. It's not that at all. There's a certain thing that is in the collective psyche of British people, right? And it's called tall poppy syndrome. This is an absolute thing in Britain, and the same thing happens in Japan as well, and I'm sure it does in other countries. Tall poppy syndrome. If someone gets too big for their boots, they always try and pull them back down. They don't necessarily get it as much in America, because the Americans are very they're very confident, outgoing, they're addicted to success, and they celebrate success. But in Britain, it's different. So it's got nothing to do with the colour of your skin. In fact, I've barely noticed any sort of criticism towards Jude Bellingham. I realised that he got dropped. Fair enough. What, we're not allowed to drop him and criticise him because he's black? Shut up, Righty. Good grief. Educate yourself, sir. And same with you, Gary. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're gonna have conversations like this, please bring some kind of unbiased social scientist onto the panel to discuss this. Bring Jordan Peterson on there, you know, or Matt Goodwin. Allow them to give some kind of insight instead of pushing this racist agenda. Honestly, it's just boring and it's inaccurate as well. Oh, it's like he's talking about Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba got criticised because he was inconsistent. No one cares if someone's flash, as long as they perform on the pitch. Yes, David Beckham got criticised, and David Beckham got more criticised than any of the superstars that have ever played for England, all put together. They were hanging effigies of him and burning them on lampposts, and it was promoted by the press as well. You know, was that because of the colour of his skin? No. It was probably because he got sent off in a World Cup and he was wearing a skirt in his spare time. You know, it's just tall poppy syndrome. That's what it is. It's got nothing to do with the colour of Jude's skin. It's if you're going to be flash, if you're going to be doing Louis Vuitton adverts, if you're going to be driving Bentleys and all of that, then that's fine. But you've got to perform on the pitch. And to be fair, Jude Bellingham wasn't great for England in the last tournament. I mean, he wasn't awful, but he wasn't great. But fair enough. And if he's going to have such high standards, and he's going to sort of live this lavish lifestyle, then fine. But you've got to perform on the pitch. If you perform on the pitch, no one will say a peep. Wayne Rooney got criticised because he was the best player and he got up to no good. Let's say what it is. He got caught in brothels with grannies. That's basically what it was. You know, at the end of the day, I love Wayne. If that's what he's into, I mean, I wouldn't do it. It's up to him. But you're always going to get criticised if you're successful. It's the same with actors. Hugh Grant got criticised as well. Daniel Day-Lewis left London and moved to Ireland because he didn't want to live in that sort of media bubble, you know. So, unfortunately, it's the price of fame in England. If you're going to be super famous and super brilliant at what you do, it's not necessarily because of the colour of your skin. And the thing with Raheem Sterling, I mean, talk about a biased perspective. Raheem Sterling, I remember reading that in the paper. He was saying that he doesn't get criticised anywhere near as much as Phil Foden. I think it was Phil Foden that he brought up. Phil Foden's buying Bentleys and doing all this, that and the other. Raheem Sterling's doing the same thing, but he's the one that's getting criticised. Yeah, I do remember that. I remember the reason he was getting criticised. It had nothing to do with the colour of his skin. It had everything to do with he didn't show any loyalty to Liverpool. And he went to Man City for the money. And maybe something about his contract demands or something like that. That was the reason. And if there's something British fans like, it's loyalty. You know, people will always respect Steven Gerrard and Alan Shearer, even though they didn't achieve anywhere near as much as what they could have done. But they always respect the fact that they were loyal to their clubs. You know, Phil Foden has been loyal to Manchester City. So it had nothing to do with the colour of his skin. See, this is the reason why you can't necessarily base your whole worldview on opinions, on feelings. You've got to look at the objective data and analyse it from that point of view. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always going to be racist arseholes in the country. But in Britain, I'd say the vast majority of people are not racist. They're not racist at all. Especially football fans in this country. You get kicked out of the ground now for being racist, you know? You get arrested for posting tweets in this country. So, no, I don't buy that. And Ian Wright can drop all the N-bombs all he wants. It's not going to get away from the fact that he's just trying to push an agenda that's just not there. And it isn't there. So, what can I say? Jude Bellingham's just going to have to suck it up. He's the star of England right now. And quite rightly, he's brilliant. I love Jude Bellingham. And it's not because of the colour of his skin. I love his attitude. I love the fact that he's achieving over there at Real Madrid. He's won the Champions League, being the main man. I hope he can replicate that for England. I genuinely do. And I hope he wins the World Cup. Great. And I hope he becomes the Jordan of football. Because I think everyone's ready for it. Of course they are. So, Ian Wright, just wind your neck in with all that race baiting nonsense. Please. Anyway, what do you guys think? Is the Big D talking nonsense? Is there a kernel of truth in what I'm saying? Or do you feel as though there is institutional racism and bias in Great Britain? Thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.